Hey, this is Travis.
And Heather.
From Pyro Design.
Today we are giving our official review on the ZYYX Plus printer. Now this printer we've had for about 3 months, and we've pretty much been printing on it non-stop since we got it. Printing.
There was a week there that we had one issue. We'll go into that a little bit later, but other than that, just non-stop.
We printed tons of the Pick the Pink prints. Travis has printed some logos on it
that I will show off later when I actually do the logo videos.
And so we wanted to give you guys our thoughts on this printer. So we're going to go over a couple different things in the video. We're going to go over some of the basic specs of the printer. We're going to go over what we liked about it and what we didn't like. And we're going to show you guys some of the prints that we had from it. So some of the specs of the ZYYX are that it offers a 265 millimeter by 225 millimeter by 195 millimeter build volume, which in US measurements is roughly 10 inches by 8 inches by 7.5 inches tall.
Which is really nice. It's really big, yeah.
It is really a really big build volume. We printed some big things on it. It uses 1.75 millimeter filament and comes with a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. Some of the features that it offers are full enclosure, so you can print ABS as well as other specialty materials with it.
Yeah, and the full enclosure that actually has a filter on the back of it, so it will filter out the fumes. It's actually touted as the fume-free printer. So that's a really awesome feature already.
Yeah, it's nice because when we did print some of the ABS test prints on it, I mean, we had this in our kitchen, in our dining room. And so, right in our main great room area, and we didn't smell it at all. I mean, if you open the doors, you could smell it, but otherwise not at all.
Yeah, it also keeps the sound down too.
Definitely, yeah, it's a very quiet printer. It does offer auto bed leveling. Now, the bed leveling, when you first set it up, it does have an assisted bed leveling that you do, and it was very easy to use. And then each time the printer starts to print, it checks the bed level to make sure that it's
three different points on the bed that it checks every time it starts a print.
Yeah, it's totally awesome. So one of the other awesome features of the ZYYX build plate is that it actually magnetizes in to the printer. And so it can be easily removed, taken out of the printer to remove your prints off of it. It's really easy.
When it's in there, it's locked in tight.
It's very secure.
Very strong magnets.
Very, very secure. So the ZYYX build plate is actually a two-part build plate that's fused together. It's glass on the bottom, and then ZYYX has their proprietary surface on top of it. Now this surface...
Yeah, we had some ups and downs with this surface. Since the printer is actually, it doesn't have a heated build plate. This is not heated at all. There's no
heat
electronics. There's no heat element in this. So it is made to be able to for any material to stick down onto it. But we did have some issues with certain when we tried to print larger ABS prints and even some of the larger PLA prints. What they told us when we were having issues with that you can actually wipe this down with a thin layer of acetone, and it will help the print stick down better. And we had a lot less issues after that, but it's something that you should know about these build plates. They do also recommend you replacing these build plates. What was it?
Every 6 months.
Every 6 months.
With normal use.
And the other awesome thing about it is that prints, they stick down really well once you get it set up right. They stick down really well,
but
and
they come off
really easily. So you can just stick a spatula under there and just lift them right off. It's really awesome.
And the other benefit is that the bottom layer is the smoothest bottom layer that I've ever seen on any other printer. I mean, when you take it off, it's crazy how smooth it is.
Another awesome feature of this printer is the Filament Detection system. It will actually tell you, and it will give you an alert on the printer when your filament runs out. Again, this is something that, I don't know, I've never used a filament detection system before on any other printer, but I don't know if this is an issue on any other one. There were a lot of times where this did work, and I got alerted when the filament ran out, and it was amazing. I could just switch the filament out. When that did happen, I didn't have those prints that were just half done and whole wasted time, wasted filaments
so
like
much
that.
Wasted
so
filament,
that in that aspect, it was amazing. But in the design, and I don't know if this is possible to fix. Maybe you guys know a little bit better, anybody that's used a filament detection system before. With this one, though, if there's a piece of tape or if there's an L shape on the end of the filament, as it comes up, it will get caught in here and it won't go through the filament detection system, so it'll just actually, the gears in the motor will just spin on the filament
because they think it still has filament.
Yeah, it thinks it still has filament because it actually has to go all the way through before it will detect that it's gone. So that it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something that you should know. Maybe the types of filament that you buy to use for this, you want to check that or something. So.
Now, one of the other sensors that this printer offers is a sensor that's right next to the filament head. And this sensor detects if you have errors in the print. So say your print starts globbing up filament, or there's a big, mess of something in the print, or it came loose,
part of it came loose or something like that,
and it's dragging around. The sensor will actually detect that and will stop the print and let you know that there's an obstruction.
Yeah. The sensor is a mechanical sensor, so it will actually have to touch the filament or be pressed up to stop the print. So there was a couple times where,
we woke up to spaghetti.
Something fell down and there was a spaghetti mess, but
it's a lot fewer.
It's a lot fewer. At least you have that option, and it does stop, the majority of the prints that get messed up, and I thought that was really awesome.
So the ZYYX printer comes with two options to get your print files onto it. The first is a memory card slot here on the front inside of the enclosure, and the second is a USB slot on the side. And now the printer does come with a full license of Simplify 3D, which was awesome.
Really awesome. Yeah, that's really cool.
So that was the only slicing software that we utilized on it. So what's great about that is it comes preloaded with the slicer settings recommended by ZYYX for various filament types, and then you can adjust it as needed as you see fit.
Yeah, and we did use some of those slicer settings. We tested with and without their settings. We had a little bit of problems with their support settings, their default support settings. Because some of the supports just wouldn't come off. They were really hard to remove, but when we changed those settings, they were a lot easier to remove. So there is a couple of tweaks you need to do there. Their default ABS settings worked really well for the times we did print ABS on this.
So within the slicer settings, for the best performance with the ZYYX build plate, it has the first layer printing hotter and then cooling down after that, and then we also printed it slower. It does have it slower initially for the first layer. We slowed it down even a little bit more,
just to get better adhesion.
And then on a lot of prints we used raft, which really helped with bed adhesion.
The smaller prints and stuff like that, little smaller pieces. Another cool feature, this is more because I've used a couple of printers that don't have something like this, is that you can actually just flip the front fan over and watch the filament load right into the printer when you're loading the filament. This also helps with clearing jams, with just cleaning out that area in general. It's really convenient. It just flips up and you're good to go. Most printers that I've worked with, at least, you have to actually take the whole fan off and dismantle the whole thing to get to any of that. So
this
really,
is way easier.
really awesome, really convenient, great feature. I think every printer should have something like that.
Yeah, definitely. It made it easy to clean because I've never had to do that before, but as a first-time printer user, this is one of the first printers that I ever really used. I mean, we have other printers, but I hadn't ever really used them. So for that, especially when I got a jam, which really wasn't very often, we didn't actually know that we had a jam.
There was actually just filament stuck inside there that we just had to get out.
Yeah, that we had to clean out.
Yeah.
But it was just so easy to use.
Yeah.
Just really so easy to do.
Now that we've talked about some of the specs and the features, let's go into the prints, because that's what you really want to know, is how this thing prints.
Right? That's what you're going to do with it.
Yeah, you're going to print with it. The prints, I have to say, are some of the best prints that I've seen out of any printer that I've ever used. Granted, I've only used 4 different 3D printers, but this right here, this maker coin, I actually carried around to show people for a day because I was so shocked at how clean the top layers were on this. And so every print like that we've done through this printer, there's no stringing, there's no random, the bed, because of the auto bed leveling, everything just stays perfect. it's just amazing. Like, I cannot believe how good some of these prints have
Well,
come
and
out.
the bottom layer. It's not only the top layer. I mean, the bottom layers are just crazy how smooth they are.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
awesome.
Really amazing.
Yeah, so we printed, I mean, this is quite a large, utilized almost the full bed volume of the surface of it. And then we printed the crown, which utilized almost the full height of it, as well as this bank utilized almost the full height of the printer. We printed Darth Vader. That was the height as well. And all of these prints, though, they're so smooth. They're so, very little flaws as far as no stringing, like you said. Yeah. But then also very high detailed prints. I mean, we printed these Groots that were smaller, and the detail was impeccable. I mean,
it's
just like, amazing.
If I have to say, out of anything, that is the best thing about this printer is how clean and amazing the prints look that come off of it. Like we mostly have printed with PLA on this. We've done some ABS prints. I do have to say that the ABS prints do not come out as well. Not in the way that they're clean, though. They'll come out just as clean. But in printing larger ABS, it was way harder to get it to stick down.
And then also because of the non-heated bed, even though it does have an enclosure, it doesn't stay as hot
inside of the printer.
So we had some problems with adhesion of the filament. Some
we had actually some warping and some cracking in the prints. So. In the smaller prints, like we did, I printed this Groot. This was out of ABS. It printed perfectly, high detail, no warping, no nothing. It printed great. And I don't know. We've never tried the actual ZYYX Pro ABS or anything, which is what recommends on their website, of course. And that might work a little bit better. And I think this is Hatchbox ABS, and that was a cheaper ABS. So
who knows? It could be that. Along those same lines, we printed from high-end filaments, more expensive filaments, to dirt cheap filaments with this printer, and it always performed. Especially with PLA, it always performed well with PLA.
Yeah, and I did. I think I did one flex filament print, and it actually came out really well. And they do offer an attachment to help with flex too. So I had no problems printing just with the standard setup.
That was fine.
I'm just going to throw in the time lapse for that coin right now because that was amazing, and I just want to show you guys that time lapse. Just so I have a little time lapse footage for this
to see how it prints while it's printing. So now that you saw that awesome time lapse of Travis's maker coin that he is so proud of, I have my maker coin too. We should show mine too. We don't have the time lapse of mine.
We did not have the time lapse of yours. Yours also turned out awesome. This was a larger one that did warp a little bit. With that
was before we knew anything about the acetone or anything
like that. So that could have improved that. But with that, we'll go into a couple of things that we did not like about the printer. Not necessarily that we didn't like, but there was a couple of things that could be worked on. For one, with the enclosure, this whole thing right here,
the printer cable.
I wish this could have been a little bit better done, maybe held up better or something. Because if you actually take the top off, this can catch on here, and I was taking the top off to like film sometimes, and this would catch and it would cause problems with the head and stuff like that, and I don't, that's not good for it to be pulling on the cable all the time. Also, when I had the enclosure top on, this would rub all over the top of it, so it's scratching it up.
Yeah, so this is scuffed.
And then it's harder to film through that, and that's that's a YouTuber thing. I'm trying to film things on this, of course, so that was a little bit of an issue. Not a big issue, of course, because I can always open up the front doors. I can print a little thing to fix this, but it's just something that I wanted to point out to show a small issue that I had with that. When we got the printer, the one other little glaring issue was that there should have been colored zip ties on this, so we wouldn't have had the problem that we had in our unboxing, because they were actually black zip ties holding the
You couldn't
print
see
head.
them at all. I mean, it does say in the quick start guide to cut them, but
yes.
They were really hard to see.
Really hard to see, so if they would have been colored, it would have been easier. The print head wouldn't have got caught, but and that leads to the other issue, and I don't know if that's actually what caused this, and I'm going to show a little bit of footage of the biggest problem that we had with this printer. It was actually a whole week that the printer was down, and I don't know if the zip tie thing caused this issue. I don't know. It could have just been a manufacturing issue or whatever, but this footage right here will show the print head just all of a sudden would just jump all over the place. Like, it was not printing well. As you can see in the footage, it's just moving all over it, and we couldn't print anything. It was just spitting out filament out of the bottom. ZYYX was amazing in helping us fix this, though. And that is a big, that was a huge shining point to this company, because the small issues that we did have, they were right on top of it. They sent out a couple of parts and super detailed instructions on how to fix that problem that was happening.
Photos,
yeah, it was
step-by-step photos of how to replace things.
Every little detail, and I walked through it. It took me about maybe an hour to fix it, and it was up and running great again. So
yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, even though there was that issue, they were amazing about it.
Well, and we received, we got one build plate, and it was cracked, not by any fault of theirs, by the service that delivered it, and they sent us out another one the very next day. We had it within 2 days. We had a replacement build plate, so that was awesome. Anytime we contacted them, they were right there. And in any method that we contacted them, we contacted them via Twitter, via email, other social media, and they were always right on it to help us with whatever we needed to answer, any questions that we had about the printer, settings, pretty much anything that we could think of. The customer service was amazing.
Yes, really awesome.
So now we're going to go over our final thoughts on the printer. Now, again, this is pretty much the first printer that I really extensively used. It was the first time I was using Simplify 3D. It was the first time I think I loaded one of our other printers once before that. And this printer, it was great. It was very easy to use right out of the box. I didn't seem overcomplicated. Getting the filament loaded, getting the files onto it were all great. I love the print quality. It is amazing. As Travis mentioned, compared to other printers that we have used, it is one of the best that I've seen, in the prints that I've printed myself. Some of the features, as far as the fume free, having the filter on it, as well as the sensor, especially for somebody starting out, you don't always necessarily know what you're doing. And to have a printer that will help you know if your filament's out, or if your filament's all gunked up, or something like that, it is great, because filament's expensive. It can be, and so to waste it, to wake up every morning to spaghetti it sucks. So those features were amazing. The auto bed leveling, those were, some of my favorite things about the printer. The only downfall that I really found, and not even really a downfall, it was just more getting used to, was the fact that it didn't have a heated build plate. So getting used to what filaments really would work on the printer, what settings to use to avoid or make sure that we didn't have any kind of warping. And not saying that it was overly complicated to learn that, but for me as a first-time printer user, just kind of getting those learning curves.
A lot of first-time printers don't have a heated bed, so this is definitely probably not a first-time printer. This is on the
higher
end printer
for sure.
So that feature missing the heated build plate's a little strange, but they do compensate for it with a very unique build plate.
Mm-hmm.
So my final thoughts: it's just amazing print quality. I can't get over that. If I would have to say anything about this printer that you can take away is the amazing print quality. Heather kind of went over all the features and stuff. We've gone over that extensively. It's just a great printer, and we had a lot of fun using it, and we look forward to using it more. So,
thanks, ZYYX, for letting us use the printer.
Yes, it's been very fun. And
so if you guys have any questions for us or for ZYYX, let us know down in the comments. We'll be happy to answer them or pass them on or along to ZYYX as well. Again, their customer service is amazing.
Yes.
So I'm sure we can definitely get answers for you if you have anything that we didn't cover.
Mm-hmm. All right, and if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the like button down below. This is our first print review, so I really like to see your comments and see what everybody has to say about this.
Let us know how we did.
Let us know how we did, yeah, because we might never do this again. Or we might do it more, who knows. Thanks a lot for watching.
We'll see you in the next video.
All right.
Bye.